Hi, fans of high quality entertainment. So this tier list is for the year 1971. Some pretty good albums came out that year. And I just wanted to mention, because every time I do one of these videos, there's always a handful of comments saying, where's this album or where's this singer? They're not in my list for whatever reason, I either don't know the artist very well, or I don't know the album very well, or I just forgot to put it in the list, because there's thousands of albums that get released every year. So not included in this list, because I just don't know the albums that well, include Elton John with Madman Across the Water. When I was growing up, my older brothers were mainly buying the Elton John albums. So I wasn't as connected to Elton John as my older brothers were. I had my own music that I loved a bit more. Not that I don't like or even love some Elton John albums and music. Deep Purple, Fireball, Badfinger, Straight Up, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Tarkus, Chicago 3, Jeff Beck Group, Rough and Ready, Traffic, Low Spark of High Heeled Boys, the Allman Brothers, Live at the Fillmore. I never bought that album. Marvin Gaye, What's Going On, Sly and the Family Stone, There's a Riot Going On. So that's why they're not in this list. I don't know those albums very well. I might have heard them once or twice, but I've got 50 albums. I actually thought 1971 might be the best year in music, but after, the 50 albums, I really couldn't find any more that I knew well. But still, lots of great albums here. And remember, this is just my opinion on my favorites. I'm not saying one album is better than the other if it's ranked higher. For personal reasons, I love the album more than maybe you do. So, Genesis. Yeah, the very first Genesis album I ever heard, Nursery Crime. I'm going to put that in A tier. And S is superior, it's the best. And then A, B, C, and D. There's no E, because I think all of these albums are at least okay. Yes, Fragile is S tier. Humble Pie, Rock On. I'll put that at the start of B. My favorite studio album by Humble Pie is Smokin'. And then, of course, their live album, live performance, Rock in the Fillmore. Carole King, Tapestry. I remember my brother had that album back in the early 70s. I never listened to it that much, but a few months back, I had to listen to it for my Patreon as an album request. And, so for the songs I didn't know that well, I finally got to listen to it again. And I know a lot of people would put it in S tier, but I will put it, just for me personally, just behind Genesis, Nursery Crime, but still a excellent album. The Guess Who, So Long Bannatyne. I love this album. I love the Guess Who. I'll put it in A tier, right at the start. I love it even more than the Genesis album. Surf's Up, the Beach Boys. There might be one or two songs that aren't that strong. The Demonstration Time song is a little annoying, but I feel especially side 2 is like a masterpiece, one of the best album sides ever. And so I still think it is S tier for me. I'll put it ahead of Fragile. The Moody Blues, Every Good Boy Deserves Favor, I think is very underrated. I'll put that in A tier, just before the Guess Who. Mirror Man by Captain Beefheart and the Magic Band. I just can't get into it. lots of jamming and everything, and I just prefer his other albums a lot more. I'll put that in C. The Faces, A Nod is as Good as a Wink to a Blind Horse with Rod Stewart, of course. My favorite studio album of theirs, I'm going to put that in A. Right there. Yoko Ono, Fly. Yes, I love Yoko Ono's music, most of it. There's the one side, it's one really long track, the title track. It's very, very experimental. I don't care for that. But there's some great songs on it. I'll put that in B, ahead of Humble Pie, Rock On. T-Rex, Electric Warrior. My favorite is the Slider. So I'll put T-Rex in B, just for me. I know some of you would put that in A or S tier. John Lennon, Imagine. It's just, it's not an album I play that often. I prefer his first real album, Plastic Ono Band, but still, no denying it's great. I'll put that in A tier. I'll put it at the start of A tier. The band Cahoots, I think, is very underrated. I'm going to put that in A tier. Ahead of, right at the start of A tier. David Crosby, his first solo album. I'll put that in B. Just ahead of T-Rex. No, before T-Rex. The Doors, L.A. Woman. All of the Doors albums I feel are probably A tier or even S. I'll put that just before Cahoots. Grand Funk Railroad, E Pluribus Funk. And I was planning to interview Mark Farner yesterday, but I haven't received his CD in the mail yet, and there was a strike here, so we've postponed it for a little bit, but I will be interviewing him again. I will put E Pluribus Funk in A tier. Just after Imagine. John McLaughlin, The Inner Flame, that album, I don't have it. I did have it at one point, but I just never listened to it. But that being said, it was amazing. I should have maybe kept it. I'm going to put that, it might even be S tier, but I'll put it in A. Right there. Nilsson Schmilsson, I'll put in B. I just prefer Son of Schmilsson, the next album. I just prefer that more. I'll put that at the start of B. Alice Cooper, Love It to Death. I think that's S tier. Just before yes. ZZ Top's first album is B. It's a good bluesy album. Put it right there. Black Sabbath, Master of Reality, S tier. Right there. Procol Harum, Broken Barricades. I need to listen to that more, but I've really enjoyed it when I've heard it. That's going to be, I'll put it at the start of B. I just need to listen to it a bit more. Rod Stewart. Every Picture Tells a Story. I know a lot of people would put that in S tier, but I love the following album, Never a Dull Moment, even more. So I'll put that in A tier. Right there. Arthur Brown with his first album with his band was called Kingdom Come, and that's Galactic Zoo Dossier. Amazing album. I'm putting that in S tier. Just before Alice. I'll have Alice Cooper before. ELO, their very first album, I think is really good. Gonna put that. Just before the Moody Blues. The Rolling Stones, Sticky Fingers is S tier. I'll put it at the start of S tier. Steppenwolf, for Ladies Only, another very underrated album from 1971. I'm going to put that, I'll put that at the start of B. Sparks, but it's not Sparks. It's when they released their first album, their band name was Half Nelson. And it was produced by Todd Rundgren. And then it was re-released the next year as Sparks. So that's S tier for me. I'll put it right there. Three Dog Night, Harmony. Very underrated band. I'll put them just ahead of Yoko Ono. Tego Mago. Crazy album, especially the second half. It's A tier. Right there. Cat Stevens. T for the Tillerman. I haven't heard it in a long time, but I grew up in the 70s knowing it pretty well. I'm going to put that in A tier. Just at the end of A tier. The band. Canned Heat with John Lee Hooker. Double album, Hooker and Heat. The only thing about that is it's mainly John Lee Hooker. Not that I have anything against him, but not as much Canned Heat on the album. I'll put that in B tier. Just before Humble Pie. The Yes album. That's S tier. Right there. David Bowie, Hunky Dory. Almost S tier for me. There's just a couple of songs that Andy Warhol song. Yeah. And song for Bob Dylan, which I like, but not as much as the other songs on the album. I'll put that at the start of A. It's almost S tier. Nectar. I had to look up the name of it. Journey to the Center of the Eye. That's why there's a big eyeball on it. I love Nectar. I'm going to put them... their later albums were even better, but I'm still going to put it in B. Just before Steppenwolf. The Kinks, Muswell Hillbillies. I don't know. I just can't connect with that album as much as I could with the earlier albums. But I'll keep trying. I'll put it in B for now. Just ahead of Three Dog Night. Alice Cooper Killer is S tier. It's a killer album. Right? Yeah, it's a little stronger than Love It to Death. The Who, S tier. Ooh. Between Sticky Fingers and Who's Next, which would you Which would you say is the better album? They're pretty even to me. I'm going to put that at the start, though. The Who win. Jethro Tull Aqualung. I've tried and I've tried and I've tried. I know it's one of Glenn Kellaway's all-time favorite albums. I'll put it in B. I'll put it at the end of B. Savoy Brown, Street Corner Talking. Great blues rock album. I'll put that in B. Right there. I've already got Alice Cooper, Love It to Death. I guess I grabbed that one twice. King Crimson Islands. Just starting to listen to that. It was gifted to me. Just for now, I'll put that in B. I'll put that at the end of B. Ahead of Jethro Tull, though. Pink Floyd Metal. That's S tier. In between the two Alice Cooper albums. Grand Funk Survival. It might be my favorite Grand Funk album. I'm going to put it in A tier. Right at the start of A tier. Remember, these are my favorites. I'm not saying that Grand Funk Survival is a better album than Hunky Dory. Just for me, I would prefer, I would listen to Survival before Hunky Dory. Led Zeppelin 4. That's not a bad album. Let's put that in B. I'm just joking. S tier. I guess it's right at the start of S tier. In Hearing of Atomic Rooster. Great album. Very underrated band. Just before Can. Ooh, I'm going to leave that one last. Wings Wildlife. I love it. And, I feel it's kind of grown in stature over the years. Let's see. Right there. Hawkwind in Search of Space. I need to listen to that more. I don't own it, but I have heard it. I'll put that in B. At the end of B for now. Just before King Crimson. Santana 3. Probably my favorite Santana album. Right there. The final album is Paul McCartney, Ram. Got to be S tier. I'm sorry, just for me. It's my favorite album from 1971. So that is it. I would love your thoughts in the comment section below. And please remember, if there's an album missing, I probably have never heard it or I don't know it that well. Thank you. Have a great day. And there was no D's, which is nice. Bye.